Welcome back. Mind Bully Podcast, a podcast focused on beating the hell out of your negative voice. This here host, young brother, Nigerian boy, Lawrence Odiase is the host by way of Fort Worth, Texas, because I'm from Fort Worth, Texas, but a beautiful melanated brother that has Nigerian origins. Origins, one of those. This is a podcast, Mind Bully Podcast, where we overcome the negative voice, the inner critic, the inner limiting belief that you have about your life, about your future, about your goals, about what you want to do next, who you are to be next, who you are now. This is a podcast where through my sphere of influence on this pure mic, I talk to you, I speak to you, we speak together, we have a conversation on how we are going to fight off the negative voice. And just to start this episode, I want to preface this by saying the episode that I was going to put out for this week, I'm sitting here editing at 1:30 a.m. and I realized the guest that I had, the audio that I had, and this is a previous episode from like months ago, the guest audio is non-existent. And to start, I was getting frustrated because the mind bully, your inner negative voice, says the thing that you want to accomplish, the thing that you want to achieve, the thing that you want to present. In my case, it's a podcast. When things go south and they don't go the way that you want them to, that voice gets loud and tries to eat at you, tries to eat at your light, tries to have you in a shell of yourself, a ball in fear. And you're not able to keep your big fat eyes on the prize of what you want to accomplish. I'm starting off hot, as I always do, because of this reason. I know that this stage of your life is very important. And I know that even using my example of having an audio that's non-existent, sorry, Eric, if you hear a bad episode of a guest before, I somehow managed the courage to put it out anyways. But I'm saying that to say, whenever you get discouraged, and I'm not going to lie, I'm feeling a little bit of discouragement because I like the episode and I like to switch it up and I like to be able to give me speaking and having a conversation and interviewing. I want to do more of that and I want to showcase that. And when it doesn't show that, I'm kind of frustrated. And I know that it will help you in a different way to see somebody else's experience, not just my experience and talking at you. I want to be able to involve conversation and invoke conversation rather. And I'm saying that to say when things go south, you have to pivot. Starting off, you have to pivot. You have to actually pivot. You actually have to do it a different way. This is December 1st, now December 2nd, because it's late. How will you pivot? You're waiting for January 1 to get it done. How about you pivot from the plan that you have to get it done on January 1 and pivot and do it right now? Do it right now. Because the enemy, the adversary, the negative voice after your life, after your light, after the enthusiasm and the joy and the perspective that you have inside, that's trying to damper that to where you look at all the evidence that you have that says you're not going to make it, says you're not enough, says you're not growing enough, says you're inferior, says you're incapable. All the evidence that you are placing your eyes on, the enemy, the negative voice in your mind reigns loud and has your focus shaped through that lens. I need you, even in times when you're discouraged, like myself, to do it anyways. I used to say last year whenever because I was trying to do big wellness projects with different people. And for me, even the next steps, I just came back from a Texas Tech and I did live podcasts for every home game of the Texas Tech men's football season. There's not a women's football season, but I just had to add the men's football season in there. And now I'm in this stage of December where I'm faced with the task to come up with more projects. And I have a desire to build a community. And I have a desire to be boots on the ground with young men, young women doing life together, speaking on challenges and topics that actually matter, mental health, emotional wealth, and just being able to have a bright perspective on our futures. And there's so many young dreamers, so many young entrepreneurs, so many people that are striving for more in their lives. But every time they try to dream, their environment, the people around them, their family, their friends that knew them from back then, their society brings down the light that they have inside. I am so inspired by passionate people. And I want to be able to create a space where passionate people can feel safe to express their lives and do lives together. I'm saying all that to say, whenever you're in a transitional period, I've said this before and I'll say it again, and I know that I'm in that stage of my life where basketball was the bullseye of my life. I'm going to go to the NBA, go to the NBA, go to the NBA, go to the NBA. And there's politics in the NBA. There's politics in sports. And even the mind belief says, oh, excuses. No, it's reality, but it's able to use your God-given gifts and build up on them. I believe one of them is speaking. I believe God gave us gifts and talents, innate abilities, talents that other people may not have, talents that people come to you for and say, hey, you're pretty good at this. Hey, you're pretty good at this. And the negative voice, your mind belief in your head tells you, you're not. And you downplay everything everybody else says that you're good at. I think you should lean into it. You should lean into it. And it's not just poof, you're going to be great at it from the get-go because there's no A players. Everything takes work. And instead of you to be inspired by somebody, you don't have to be envious, but inspired by somebody. Instead of you to be inspired by somebody, you're jealous, you're envious. And it's on us. It's on me. It's on you to understand that this month has a couple days in the month. And the month ain't over yet. The year ain't over yet. Your dreams, your goals ain't over yet. What you can do with your life ain't over yet. What they say you can do or can't do with your life is not the truth. And in moments where you have to pivot. And I'm doing so with this podcast. I want to pivot, no pun intended, but pun intended because, rhyming. I want to be able to transition this conversation to something that's been on my heart. I believe connection and community is important. I've been saying that, mental wellness, being able to feel whole emotionally, mentally, spiritually, relationally. And I know the way that we do that is through conversation. I'm coming back off a weekend at Lubbock, Texas, and I was being able to speak with so many people, whether it's a Jalen Johnson who showed out for me. He would fly in for every show and be my co-host on the live shows that I have yet to put out. Or it's the beautiful people that allowed me to stay in their home. One being a Jill and John Harrison that I always go and I stay with their kids and I just love their family unit. And another being Michael Poster. When I come, he opens his house, his 25,000 square foot house with open arms. And I say all that to say it's so interesting being able to be a fly on the wall, a member in somebody's house, and just to be able to have conversations about your life and their life and see how the way people are and why they are. I'm a person that's just curious in nature. I've always been a curious, misunderstood kid from growing up. I didn't fit in at the schools. I was Nigerian in the household, and then I go to school, I'm Black American. And the Black American ain't had no more Nigerians in the school. And so I was a African booty scratcher with a big black man trying to find a way to fit in. And it took me through different experiences that hurt me as a kid, being picked on as a kid, being made fun of as a kid. It took me through a time where I was posed with a choice on what to do with my experience. And I had those times where I would walk home after hearing it, and I was always combative, so you would never see me how I felt about it. But in my head, I was wanting to be somebody else. It's funny when you have a podcast right now and I share, I'm thinking about things I haven't in a while. I remember running back home after I saw my first set of waves on somebody else's hair. And them boys was roasting me because I had a low boy, because me and my twin brother used to go to a barber's college where little girls, not nothing against y'all little ladies, but the little girl was messing me up. She had a bad day, and she gave me a ball boy. It wasn't a ball fade. It was just the bald part. It was just the bald. So they said I had a triangular head. I got a weird shaped head, and I went to school with a ball boy, and I walked home with a ball boy, thinking of the waves I just saw at the school. And so I get home, and I beg my mom to buy me an S-curl kit. And those of you that don't know what an S-curl kit is, it's basically cheating. It's cheating. The whole point of having waves is to learn that you got to brush, put on the wave cap, put on some pomade or whatever, some cream, then you had a fresh set of waves. But for me, I wanted to do it the quick way. And the quick way was called that S-curled translation perm. Perm your hair, change it. It changes its texture and its fiber. And I dashed home and I wanted my mom to get me an S-curl that day. Long story short, it did not happen. But I always had that in my head that I wanted to change a part of me to fit in. It's funny because I ended up S-curling my hair and almost making it straight when I go to a prep school after high school. And it's almost like a seed of not good enough, or a seed of who I am isn't accepted. So I'm not the valued product. I don't know if you're watching and you're listening to this, you may be experiencing a time where you don't feel like the valued product. You don't feel like your likeness, your kind is acceptable. You feel like you have to shrink. You feel like you have to run into a mold of how they think and how they want you to be. The beauty standards of society has you wanting to fit a size 2 when you know you ain't never been a size 2. I'm big on working and fitness and grinding. I'm a fitness man, a hunk, as you can tell. That boy said a hunk. But you've been starving yourself. You've been straining yourself. You've been overworking yourself. You've been cursing yourself. You've been putting yourself in harm's way to sit and fit a size 2. That's you. I want you to know something as I'm looking down the barrel of the lens, as I'm now putting my hands on the mic, as I'm now using my right hand to emphasize this point. You are beautiful just the way you are. God made you special. God made you with a gift. God made you with purpose. God made you for a purpose. God made you to fulfill his purpose. God made you as a light to life. And the fact that you can't see that right now, it's an issue. It's a problem. And even as my example of wanting to perm my hair, and you know me, I got dreads now, you feel me? Even as I'm using that example to drive home this point that I just thought of, because I don't ever edit these. I talk my thoughts and it comes out. And if you don't like it, bye, toodaloo. If you do, thank you. It's God working through me to you. Anyways, even as I'm using my experience as an example to emphasize and to highlight that God made you a one of one, even as I'm doing this, I think to myself, do I fully accept myself? Because a lot of the times we can do these things and we can have an episode and you can teach someone a trait that you know, or maybe you have a kid or a friend that it's easier to teach these things than to live them. And just to ask myself this, it's something, if I'm honest, I know that I live out. I know that I'm living and I'm walking in my purpose, and I'm in a space and place where I've never been in my life, where I am not actively doing things with people. I'm creating all the projects and everything, obviously inspiration from the Holy One, but I'm not living life every day with somebody with me. And it's been a weird transition away from sports. But I'm saying that to say I've been encouraged with the growth I've made. It's just that sometimes I wonder if all the work that I'm putting in to post whether podcast episodes 3 times a week or two pieces of content every single day, the live shows at universities, to talking to back and forth community management with my people, them on the IG. Sometimes I wonder if it's because I'm trying to be something for somebody else and not actually being. And I know that you have a beautiful heart, a beautiful big heart, if you're listening, if you're watching this, but you do so much for other people. I wonder what it looks like if you actually did something for yourself, if you actually stepped on that big pedal and revved up the engine and gone after your dreams, not after what you think they want from you. Because I have the tendency, again, recovering people pleaser. I don't have to please, please, please. And the voice in my head, when it sees that, okay, you like pleasing people, okay, I'm going to give you a good thing, but not the right thing for you. So then you can spend all your time worrying about everyone else. You can spend all your time worrying about everyone else. And then you give yourself the scraps. Then you end up frustrated because they didn't even like what you tried to do for them. And now you don't even like what you don't even know about you. You didn't even do nothing for you because you don't know what you like and what you're inspired by. It's the cycle of my life. And for this dang December, I don't know why I said dang like that. For this December, I'm prompting myself with a challenge to just be able to sit still more often and to understand what my desires are for the incoming year, what I want to accomplish, how I yield and let the Lord lead and use me to touch people all over the world. I used to pray a prayer every single day that said, Lord, pray that my words reach billions. And I'm reminding myself to do that because I used to say millions, then thankfully the content hit millions and I raised it to billions. All that to say, I know that I'm able to walk in my purpose. And if I'm to ask you a question, it's going to be this. What would it look like for you to actually step into what you want to do, what you want to accomplish with full confidence, and not confidence in how they'll view you when you get it, but confidence on who you're becoming as you're getting it. Because the false confidence we exude at times, I exude at times, is, oh, this post hit 5 million, 9 million. Oh, I'm somebody. I got posts that's hitting millions and podcasts that people like or shows that people like. Pat on the back, you get the rush, you get the high. And then if you take that praise, it costs. There's something that comes with it. If you take the praise from the people in your life and you get drunk off the praise, what happens when the praise stops being praise? Does that mean you stop being you? Or does that mean you stop being this version of you that you've created? And does that mean when that version of you, you want to stop being that version of you that you created, that you try to actually pivot and you're lost because you don't know which version of you to now step into? It's called a dilemma. It's called a crisis. It's called times where you can't plan, where it wasn't your fault that something happened and you couldn't see it. And for me as a believer, when you can't see it, you got to faith it. And to understand that my Lord and Savior watches over his word to perform his word. If he came to give me an abundant life, I'm standing on his promise. If he provided for everybody, I have so many examples that he provided for all them folk. Abraham, he didn't have a ram. Gave him a ram, gave him provision. If he provided for them people, them back then, he's the same God. He never changes. And I get encouraged. I get encouraged from reading the Bible because you see Paul, he's in chains and he's writing to churches. He's in chains and he has a heart posture towards honoring God with his life, with his words, with his ways, even in pain, even in struggle, even in the midst of trepidation and fear. And under fear, he's still writing and trying to encourage people, checking people, because love is an action. It's not just, ooh, googly eyes. No, it's actually, nah, you tripping. Nah, you tripping. You tripping. Get right. Them fools, they trying to trick you with all the philosophy and mind science and we're apes. And I get so pissed off at that. I saw another thing that said, we're primates. We came from primates and our primal. I ain't come from no baboon. I ain't come from no monkey. I didn't come from no zebra. Whatever else you want me to say I came from. I came from the Holy One. Hello. I was placed here from the Holy One. Hello. Anyways, it's a different topic for a different day. But don't be fooled by every person's idea of who you are. Don't be fooled of every person's idea on what you can accomplish. Don't be fooled on every person's idea on what you want to be in life. Don't take their opinion and say, okay, I want to be that. Oh, I want to be that. Oh, I want to be that. I want to wear that coat. No. Knowledge is so important and access is so important. And so when I started this rant, part of it was the community and being encouraged by people and hearing their stories on how they've overcome through their life and how we all mend in a certain way. We all feel, we all think, we all came from a dark and deep place at moments of our lives. And then we took a chance, and we became who we are today. And you have the tendency, I have the tendency to downplay what we've accomplished. And for January coming up, not even January, I'm doing that too. For December, right now, what are the ways that you can appreciate the year that you've gone through, appreciate the relationships, the connections that you built, appreciate the spaces that you've been able to foster further growth in yourself and relationships, but also challenge yourself to stay consistent, challenge yourself to stay confident, because we don't always talk about that. We don't ever talk about the mood that it takes to accomplish greatness. It takes a gone to it mood. Like, oh, this person is just happy. Yes, you have to achieve anything. It's positivity. It's the energy. It's the passion. It's the, I'm gone to this. I'm not supposed to be like you. I'm literally not supposed to be like you. I'm supposed to be a different level because it's the leader. I see through the eyes of faith, not through the eyes of fear. I'm not mentored by fear. I don't see through what I see. I see through what I know and see inside of me. And it's so refreshing to be able to surround yourself with people that also see what's on the inside of them, but also people that are able to hold up mirrors for who you are, for you to see who you are, because it does so much. The fire and the passion you're able to lead and live your life with once you actually know that right here ain't it for me. And as anxiety comes to my mind, thoughts of depression, suicidal ideation, the addictions, the emotional addictions, the addictions to working, the addictions to substances, the addictions to using this girl and using this boy, when the addictions come and want you to suppress what you're feeling, to suppress and to numb. But when they come back up at random times and you're lashing out and you don't know why, it's to sit and ask that 3-letter question of why. Ask that 4-letter question of when did this show up? When? Just when? When? And ask that 3-letter question of how and how I'm going to get out of this spot. And The only cure that I've found is Jesus Christ. The only cure that I've found that's able to not only remove the pain and the hurt and the damage and the brokenness and the emptiness and the numbness and the lack of purpose. The only person that can remove that and also place something back. It's called transformation. It's called the Holy Spirit. It's called the guide. It's called an advocate. It's called the power source. Jesus Christ can only do that. He's the only one that can reconcile you back to the Father. And we all want to have a relationship with God and to reach out to someone greater when life goes awry, when we're in seasons of crisis. I'm telling you, Jesus does that. And it's not just, oh, I got Jesus, I'm never going to have troubles. No. Hello, you're a freaking light, dude. You're light. You're light, dude. The light. Darkness want to turn out the light every time. Every time. And now you're shining even brighter and you're smiling in the midst of adversity. Duh. The darkness going to want to blow that light out. And it's almost like, even in the Bible, darkness symbolizes ignorance. It symbolizes ignorance. Everywhere you look in the Bible and you see darkness, it's ignorance. The people are ignorant. So, okay, I'll give you up to a reprobate mind, a debased mind, for the destruction of the flesh. Destruct the flesh in what you see in the addictions. You keep doing it, you keep doing it, you keep doing it, and you're getting away with it. You're getting away with it. You're getting away with it until you don't. Until you don't. And you don't really want that. But the voice and in your head and the pain that you're feeling wants you to actually hook your big fat thoughts with your big fat lips and say, okay, it's better if I'm not here anymore. That's not the truth. You want to be here. And I know you listening. I'm pivoting. I don't care. I'm led. You're supposed to be here. You're supposed to be here and you want to be here. And it would be a shame to not have you here because of who you are, because the light of who you are, because of how God made you, because of how God produced you, because of what you are inside. It would be a shame not to have you here. And it would be so painful not to have you here. And it's to know that this moment of your life, if we can get you to see it in a different light, we can get you to be at a place that you've never even imagined. But it takes time, and it takes steps, and it takes a transformation in our hearts, in our heads, and in our habits. Because once we have a heart transformation, it's to flow up and to change the way we think. So we don't just think, do her wrong, do him wrong, take advantage of them, take advantage of this, go to this drug, go to this drug. We don't just think that way. When challenges come our way, we think differently and we're able to walk through these things out and process how we feel, to be able to apply language, emotional fluency to how we feel and express how we feel and our emotions and not hide them from people and not take on what society says on, oh, be a tough guy, be a tough girl. He doesn't care. She doesn't care. Being able to share and to be open and honest and vulnerable about what we're going through, so that we're also leading the charge in conversation and giving other people strength as we're also gaining that strength. There's a process to transformation, and it starts and ends with Jesus Christ. And when you do that, the practical steps becomes easier. It becomes easier to write, and it becomes easier to dream, it becomes easier to love, it becomes easier to turn the other cheek, it becomes easier to run with endurance and confidence and expectation, because you have a greater calling and a greater purpose and a greater mission. And I just want to tell you one last thing before I stop. And I say this a lot, and people in culture say this a lot, and I'm not them, okay? I'm going to tell you a thing. It's a three-word sentence. I love you. I actually love you. And I need you to know that, because in this time, in this season of our lives, so many of us without family, without friends, without feeling that love. I'm aware that I'm privileged to have family, whether it's a cousin in right now from the UK, but also Florida because he's on break with our family. My twin brother came up from his first year of residency in San Antonio. He's with us. I was with so many people that loved me in Lubbock, and I'm able to realize the privilege that I have to be around people that pour into me and fill me up. And now I'm happy enough to do an episode at 2 a.m. Either way, I'll do it. I was going to do it either way, but I understand that if you're listening, you're watching, you might not have that. And I want you to know that I'm thinking about you. I want you to know that I'm here for you. I want you to know that you think that you have wrong parents and you have a wrong family, you have a wrong life, and you're like, I've never had what you had, so you never can understand what I'm going through. I would agree. I don't know. I would agree. I don't know what you're going through. But I can tell you that I know what it feels like to feel lost and feel empty, feel abandoned, even with a room full of people. And I know the only way that got me out is for asking for help. The only way that got me out is to seek a different perspective, to stay curious and expressive on this thought that says end it, this thought that says I'm not getting up today. I'm just going to sit down and not do nothing because of the emotions I feel. The thought that says quit. Why do I have this burning desire not to? I need that voice inside of you to reign loud today. That's what I'm saying. Because I love you and I know you love you too. I know it. You haven't heard that voice in you for a while, but I know you love you too. So because we both love you, I need you to do that for you and me. And if you like this episode, if you like this podcast, if you like a fine young brother talking, not outside today with his hood on, probably lips a little chapped with a wide angle lens and the mic kind of blocking his face. If you like this episode, do me a favor. It does the most for me and this podcast and what we're trying to build with Mind Bully, overcoming the negative voice. If you like this, challenging your inner critic, do me a favor and rate and review and send this to your people them because I know that it would help them as well. Until the next one, bye now. Bye-bye now. Bye-bye now.
Hey, Gen X, you going off.